Hey everybody, and welcome to TekFlow for Construction, brought to you by Zentek Consultants. TekFlow for Construction is a recurring videocast where we talk about the best tech practices and procedures that we've been implementing for Zentek clients, ones that we think everybody should be looking to include in their own workflows. I'm Jim Coppinger, one of the principals here at Zentek Consultants, and today I want to talk to you guys about the checkout process or controlling edits on a particular file. When we're dealing in the construction world, it's really important to make sure that not just who can access files and when and what rights they have, but honestly, as simple as making sure that only one person at a time can edit a file. And that may sound really basic, but it is actually one of those things that we run into a lot. Right? The idea that what can happen is because people are copying and emailing files, or anybody can open up files from a server and they can just copy it over and save it on their drive and make changes, you run into this potential to have people making construction decisions, whether it's quotes or ordering or, God forbid, actually building things on files that are out of date, that are missing key edits. Right? And one of the things we really strive for with our clients, and we think it's vital in dealing with the construction and construction management concept, is the idea of one source of truth, right? Or one location where the document we're talking about exists. Whether it's a design document or a spec or a contract, doesn't matter. It exists in one location. Everybody can access it, but everybody can't download it and freely edit and make whatever changes they want locally. The only place and the only way to make those edits should be in whatever cloud-based hosting system you're using for your construction management projects. Right? That's what we really want to focus on today. How do we do that? How do we keep people from accidentally, using the wrong data? And the idea is that we do it in terms of the checkout, check-in process. And what does that mean? Well, I usually give tell people the story of the library, right? If you go to the library and you want to check out a book, right? What do? You take the book off the shelf, you go to the library and you say, I'm going to check it out. So you can take the book and they put a little card in its place saying, Jim has that book. It's not a problem, right? We're all familiar with that. Now, anybody else can tell that I have that book, but I'm the only one who can actually use it. Okay, until I'm done with that book. Then when I'm done with that book, I bring it back to the library, I give it back to the librarian, they put it back on the shelf. Now anybody else can check out the book and use it, right? That's the checkout, check-in process. We're doing it electronically with files. One person at a time can take the file for editing. It locks it so no one else can edit it. And then when I'm done, I'll put it up with my edits in place. So this way, everybody's always working with the current round of edits. No matter whether they're, in Hong Kong and Sydney, Australia, and Jersey City, New Jersey, all over the world, we're all always working with the current, latest, and greatest version. And that's great setup, and it's something we all want to be really cognizant of. And the great thing is that most of the modern construction management systems and document control systems handle this checkout, check-in process, right? So as always, I'm going to kind of focus on my primary ones here. I'm going to talk to you today about Bluebeam Review, Procore, Autodesk Construction Cloud, and SharePoint. All right. And let's go ahead and jump in with Review first. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring that up here on screen. And you guys have probably noticed by now, right? I do this all the time. Review, when it comes to dealing with document controls and document editing permissions, is really, to my mind, the easiest of these. It's also the most affordable, which is nice. But I'm not trying to push the software. That's why I usually start with it. So the idea is that I go in and I've opened up an example project here. And let's say I want to edit this C001 drawing. And this could be anything, right? I can go to my bid set and I can open up, schedules and contracts or whatever else. It doesn't really matter. But I'll just show you here, because if I go ahead and I open this up in Bluebeam, you see that right away when it opens up, see there's a little lock icon on it up here. It's in read-only mode. Everybody is restricted right now to just looking at the file. Can't edit it, can't actually make changes. So much so that Bluebeam will actually lock out its own tools when you're in that read-only mode. You can't even use basic markup features here. It wants you to be consistent with that checkout process. So if I want to actually edit this C1 drawing, I have to right-click on the file and go to the checkout feature. Now, takes a second. Now you see it put a little icon called checked out on the side. Now when I double click on it and open up that file, you see that it's no longer read only, and that now all of my Bluebeam tools all available. I can go to work, do what I need to do. Right? the concept here, what really happened, and it's all in the background. It's nothing you need to worry about, right? Which is great. It really makes this very simple. All you have to do is just check out the file, just like pulling it out of the library. But what really happened is Bluebeam locked down the copy that's on the server as read-only. No one else in the entire world can now edit this file. Doesn't matter who they are. The system actually copied this file right here to my local computer. And it's keeping track of where it goes back on the server, but it's now on my local machine. So if I get disconnected from the internet, if I have to go out into the field, doesn't matter. All of my stuff is happening and working locally here. So it's the fastest, best way for me to be able to make changes. Then when I'm done, I made changes, I drew things, I did whatever I have to do. Then when I'm done, I can just go back and I can go here and I can just check in that file. Meaning my changes, my edits are done. I want to send this back up to the main server. Back to the library, so to speak. Right? And I can add in, hey, I added stuff, right? Whatever the stuff is. I put a note in and I just say, check that in. Right? And you see, just like that, it uploaded it back up to the server and locked the one that's on my local machine as read-only. Now you see it removed the light. Now anybody else can go back to that central server and check out the file and continue edits. But all of my changes are already locked in here. So just keeping one person at a time being able to edit the file, and it's a key issue in the construction environment. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump over here to some of the other tools and features that we have. So I'm going to start with Procore. All right, Procore does the same thing. It's great. So if I want to go in, I want to edit this emergency contact form. If I just click on it here in Procore, it doesn't let me edit it. It just opens up a little mini viewer that I can zoom in and out and read what's in here. I can freehand download this, which I'm not a big fan of. That means I can just make local copies of it and potentially have multiple people editing it. Not ideal. I kind of wish they'd get rid of that. But what you can do here is if I go over here onto these ellipses over here at the side, you see that I can actually I have this one checked out. Didn't even realize. I can go ahead and if I check that file out, I'll just do this file instead. I'm going to do this PDF. If I want to work on that, I can check it out. Right? And I get to set a time frame as to when it's going to automatically check back in, which is nice. It'll tie it back in an hour or 3 hours or 6 hours. Right? I can just go ahead and check that file out, and you see that what it'll do is it will actually download that file. See, it's downloading it, right, to my downloads folder. Right? Then I can go in, make whatever changes I need, and then when I'm done, I can go in here and I can just go to the check-in option. Right? And you see that it's looking for the new version, and all I have to do is here's the new version. I could have opened it up on my local machine, edited it, then I can just drag and drop it in. I kind of like the Bluebeam version where it's a little bit more automated, but this works. There's nothing wrong with this, and I can add in comments. All right, so you have that same check-in, check-out process in Procore. I can do this, and actually probably the guys who originated this were Microsoft in SharePoint, right? And integrating it with your OneDrive connector to your local machine. That's how most of us work in SharePoint. Files are replicated to your local machine. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're basically replicating, locking the one on the server and replicating it locally and working on a local one and then syncing it back. So here I can just go into any file. So if this is my spec and I want to modify that, I can just go in here and you see that I can just check that out. That locks it in the SharePoint server so no one else can edit it. They can open it read-only, but it's basically locking it to me so that you don't have that potential conflict of multiple people taking out copies and editing them. I can go in here and I can check this out, and then when I'm done, I can just right-click, come back to the same thing, and it'll say check in. Right? So SharePoint were really the guys who kind of came up with this concept many years ago, and it's been adopted across the construction industry. So if you guys are still working in SharePoint, you have this functionality as well. And the last one I'll show you here is Autodesk Construction Cloud. And I will say I'm a little disappointed in this because they really do not have a checkout, check-in process in the Autodesk docs. Kind of the ability to edit files is kind of limited to your controls, right? If you say security controls and say, hey, Jim and Joe and Tom and Anna can all go in and edit this file, then any one of them can come in and they can edit it. Now, the good thing is it does at least keep it collaborative. So if I go in and I open up this file, right, and I want to go in, I want to start editing this, and I can go in and I can open this up, in Word, right? Or I can download it. So if I want to go in here and edit it in Word, so some of the basic files like Word documents, etc., when other people go in here, they're going to pop in here. We're going to be working collaboratively, all of us working on the same file at the same time, which sometimes is a great thing. We'll talk about that in future sessions of this video cast. But right now, like I said, we're trying to deal with people who are, on different time zones across different countries, hitting these things at completely different days of the week. Right? And that's where I kind of like that check-in, check-out process to make sure that everybody is, playing on the same page, as it were. Right? We're all working with the current version of whatever the file is, and only one person at a time can perform edits. All right, so there we go. That's the checkout process and how you control your edits. And those are the kind of things we like to take you through and hope you guys start thinking about using in your own workflow when we're here at TekFlow for Construction. I'll see you guys in the next episode.